Welcome back to the JumpStart Sports Show. My name is Jason Kopp, one of your esteemed hosts this Friday morning. I'm with my main man, 5'11", arguably, Steven Shoemaker, mega. Yeah, you take that big swig. How we doing?
We're good, buddy. It's good to be back after a little hiatus. Talk some sports, shoot the shit. We had a couple little Italy trips for the both of us, slurping pasta and missing sports. So it's good to be back on the JumpStart Sports Show. Talk a little football today. Let's dive right in.
What was your favorite part of Italy?
Favorite part of Italy was probably the pasta.
How much pasta did you
I consumed more pasta than I ever have in my life. It's just kind of running through my veins still, wiggling through. A lot of spaghetti, a lot of fettuccine, a lot of arrivederci. I don't think that's
pasta. The pesto.
It was a good time though. It's good to step away from the America for a little bit and
yeah, I fucking hate the America. Oops, sorry. I really have tried to be better about not cursing.
But we're back.
We're back. Yeah, and while we've been gone,
since you've been gone. Sorry, go ahead.
Now we should just do one of these episodes and just straight up just do karaoke for our 10 viewers. They would really enjoy it.
Probably.
Yeah, so since you've been gone, I can't breathe. Who's that, Cascada?
No, that's Kelly Clarkson.
Oh yeah. What is the one I'm thinking of?
Every Time We Touch.
Oh yeah. Oh, that one hits. Okay. Best song that you party to, go.
Oh, it has to be Runaway by Galantis.
A classic freshman year song.
All I remember from freshman year is Galantis and Apple Smirnoff. Things get a little hazy after that.
I can't even look at Green Apple Smirnoff again after all of that.
Smirnoff and Svedka, those are my enemies.
Which Svedka? Like the
all of them.
What is strawberry and lemonade? Is that what it was?
Probably anything that Sam had in his hand.
Ew. Sam had many things in his hand.
Sam drank some weird things. Svedka, Franzia.
Yeah, Fireball was his girlfriend for a minute. Those are the days.
We love him though.
He loves Franzia. I remember we went on spring break, and he's like, if it's not Sunset Blush, don't even bother.
I wish you had a picture of him holding like Franzia. We probably do in the archive somewhere, so you could throw it up on the Instagram.
Yeah, I definitely do of the Fireball picture, but that's a different story. Anyway, so a lot's happened in the last 2 weeks since you've been gone. Yeah, I mean, we'll just cover some NFL news today. We'll do a little bit of mock because in about a month, I really wish that we recorded these things, like, for how stupid we are as a group. It's so fun. I love when we got together last year. But yeah, so we have our fantasy draft in about a month. This will be like a little bit of a preparation. Some people are going to be already doing it within the next few weeks, probably, because preseason starts 2 weeks from yesterday, which is actually really crazy to think about. Thank God football is back.
I've just always preferred doing redrafts because no matter how bad you were the season before, it always gives you a fresh start. Whereas when you do like dynasty leagues, my team was pretty bad last year, and I'm expecting more of the same this year. And it could take you 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years to get out of a hole through trading and redrafting. But that's why I like fantasy redraft leagues, because you just
I get that. Dynasties are my favorite because I just love the idea of, like, even if you suck, like, you can still, then it becomes like the process and strategy of like rebuilding. So you trade away like the valuable players that can get you the most draft picks, or like in the rookie draft, for example, like, I don't know how easy it'll be to do this or if anyone will want to, but I will try to trade out of the third pick that I have to try to get more draft capital, down the road. And if you like keep doing that, like a lot of like I explained it actually in the last video when I was talking about like dynasty strategy, like tiering down is actually a really good idea. I did it when I traded you, Dalvin Cook. I traded you and I got a huge haul, and then rebuilt my team, which was like fine, but I wasn't gonna make it anywhere. But anyways, I understand the redraft though. Redraft is, I mean, I hate it and I love it. I hate it because as I was going through the archives, now that it's active again for the ESPN, and man, I averaged fourth place, which I feel like is pretty on point there. And then I averaged the seventh pick. I just can't get a good pick. I haven't had a good pick. I haven't had a pick above number 5. Let's above number 4. I haven't gotten a pick above 4 since our first year playing when I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And Adrian Peterson hurt himself second place.
Let me ask you this. Do you think there's such a thing as a good draft pick when it comes to redrafting and you have just say a 10-man league? Because obviously focusing on a 10-man league, because if you do an 8-man league, your team's going to be stacked. If you do a 12-man league, your team's not going to be as good. It's a little bit tougher. So 10's perfect to do a league. 10 people's perfect to do a fantasy redraft league. But do you really think there's such thing as a good pick? Because
I do.
Yeah, you could say the first pick could be the best pick, but then it's like there's no guarantee because like last year, Ryan took McCaffrey.
Yep.
And his team was garbage. I think he had the worst team in the league. And I remember he had some great picks, taking McCaffrey and then taking Justin Jefferson and A.J. Brown back-to-back in the second and third rounds. Like, those are 3 great picks out of the number 1 hole, but he ended up with the worst team in the league, a lot of it due to injuries. And then I'm pretty sure on the opposite end of it, Sam somehow always gets the 10th pick. And I forget who he took, but he ended up winning.
He had number 4 or 5 or something like that this past year, or 3. He was up there this year in his pick. He because I was at number 8, I think.
Well, you know what? Before you answer that question for me, because we're gonna get into fantasy and just kind of this year, let's talk about some of the latest news, latest headlines.
And then I'll explain while we're going through our mock draft why I do believe there is an advantage. Like, I think there was an advantage last year, and I think there's usually an advantage, but we'll talk about that soon. Do you want to get into the news?
Yeah. We've like I said, we've been gone for 2 weeks, so there's been some older news we can catch up on. But the latest news, as of a couple days ago, was the Arizona Cardinals signing Kyler Murray to a 5-year, $230.5 million extension.
Yep.
And this extension is long overdue, but I also I have some issues with it. The reason I say that is because if you remember, after the Cardinals lost in the first round to the Rams, there was so much speculation on Kyler's future with the Cardinals. Yep. I mean, they got absolutely manhandled in that game, rightfully so, because the Rams went on to be the Super Bowl champions. The Cardinals just had nothing going for them in that game. And Kyler just even looked like he wanted to be out there, let alone be on the team. And I think there was just so much controversy in the offseason of, are they going to keep Kyler? Is he going to go somewhere else? And that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because if you think about where he came from, how he's a Heisman winning quarterback coming from out of Oklahoma.
Yep.
He was literally seconds away from being a Major League Baseball player.
He was the 6th pick.
Be the 6th pick by the Oakland Athletics. And then he goes on to be the first overall pick by the Arizona Cardinals in the NFL draft. So they just put so many chips in for him.
Yep.
He made such a big career decision. He made the right decision, but he made a huge decision coming to play in the NFL, playing for the Cardinals. And then after all that, just because he had a bad playoff game and things weren't quite working out, they're talking about getting rid of him. I think it was just kind of such a slap in the face. I think people think Kyler's overrated, maybe just because of how small he is, but he's just so athletic. He has so much to offer. I think you can't, write him out just yet. So this extension, I think, kind of proves that. And it's going to be tough this year for him without Hopkins in the first 6 games, but don't really think James Conner is going to put up the numbers he did last year. I don't even know if the Cardinals will be a playoff team this year, Jay, but I think definitely locking in Kyler for the next 5 years, unless things go south and they trade him in the future. It was the right move for the organization.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those things that's like, what other direction could they really have gone in? Like Kyler is, I mean, let's just call spade a spade. He's a premier quarterback in this league. He really is. He's terrific. Like when he was first coming into the league, I really liked Kyler. Obviously, his size is always going to be a concern, but he's so, like you said, he's so athletic. He's so quick. He looks like a toddler running, like for candy. His feet move so fast, but he's a really talented thrower too. And I think it'll be really interesting when he's reunited with Marquise Brown. Like I wonder how good they'll be together with Zach Ertz and Rondale Moore, hopefully taking another step forward. Even before Hopkins comes back after the suspension. With that being said, like their team reminded me of the Steelers from 2 years ago, where they were, like Steelers, if you remember, this was Chase Claypool's first year. They were like one of the last remaining undefeated teams, and then they went on to be humongous disappointments. Lost immediately. They were not good. Like as a team, they just had a really like easy schedule, and I'm not saying that was necessarily the same situation, but it was the same idea of like the Cardinals were really, really good in the regular season, but it seems like every year they fall off, like in the playoffs, every single year. This year they should have won, but they didn't. And like you said, it looked like Kyler didn't even want to be out there. But they had to do this, and I think it was the right move for their organization. You have to pay your quarterback when he's, of this talent, of this caliber. The players like this come like once every generation. Like he's athletic, quick. He makes the defense, like freeze in their feet, and he can bomb the ball. And he has a legitimate deep threat for the first time, really, on it, like in his career. You could argue like maybe Andy Isabella, but he was pretty garbage as a second round pick.
Who was the Arizona wide receiver that you drafted before? He was always like a deep threat, but he wasn't ever like consistent. You know what I'm talking about?
When did I draft him?
I don't know. In past years in fantasy, you drafted. I'm trying to think of his name. You like drafted some wide receiver who like wasn't good, but he would always give you like 2 catches for 80 yards every game. He was like a deep threat. I'm pretty sure he was on the Cardinals.
There was a Cardinals receiver years ago, JJ Nelson. John Brown was on the Cardinals.
I think maybe also. John Brown. I'm thinking of
Smokey Brown. Smokey Brown. I'm pretty sure was on the Cardinals.
John Brown on the Bills, though, right?
He was also on the Bills. I'm pretty sure Smokey Brown was a Cardinal at one point. John Brown, Cardinals. I'm curious.
Who's the wide receiver you always draft who always gets hurt?
John Brown. Will Fuller.
Will Fuller. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, John Brown was on the Cardinals. Will Fuller is my fantasy darling, even though he's somehow still unsigned. I guess that's a piece of news. So last year he fractured his finger.
Who wants them with the constant injuries and just PED problems?
Yeah, the only season he was healthy was PEDs, and every other season he got hurt. Gotta love Will Fuller. Yeah. Even though no one will take a chance on him.
Take a chance.
Take a chance on me. ABBA hits too. ABBA is also a bop. Anyway, so should we move on to our next topic? This one I think is kind of interesting because you really have to kind of consider this in fantasy football, and you took a swing on him last year. It did not work out.
Swing and a miss.
I have swung on him also. I swung on him last year too in a different league. Did not work out. Mikey Thomas. It's been about 2 years since he's actually stepped foot on the field. It was always like a very odd situation. He refused to get ankle surgery and take the advice of his trainers, which was so stupid. So he tried to rehab it himself. Obviously, like it didn't work and he needed surgery still. So it set him back. Then he had a setback. Last year, he was going like, what? You got him probably what? Actually, you reached on him, didn't you?
I reached on him and I took him in like the 6th or 7th round.
Yeah, because I was gonna do the same thing in the 8th. Because when Michael Thomas is healthy, people probably don't even remember. He was like unbelievable. I had him in 2016.
He broke so many records.
Broke so many records. Him with Drew Brees was like elite combination.
You just have to you have to weigh the risk versus the reward when it comes to him, because his upside is just so tremendous. He's so talented, but clearly he's not going to be. I mean, I could be wrong on this, but clearly he's not going to be 100% when he's ready to play. And I don't trust Jameson. It's not the same thing as Drew Brees. The Saints just seem like they're falling apart. The Saints are not marching in, as they say, with Kamara potentially his season being, up in the air.
I can't believe that hasn't been a ruling yet either.
Yeah. So it's just like with me is like my biggest thing on redraft leagues and fantasy is, and I learned this the hard way last year, as you kindly pointed out, you can't take guys who you're not 100% on. That's just my opinion. And
you mitigate risk.
Huh?
Like you mitigate risk.
Yeah, and it's just like despite how good Michael Thomas is, despite how good Hopkins is, that's like half the fantasy football season right there that Hopkins is going to be missing. And
so that's a really similar situation, actually. Excellent.
I think you have to take guys who you can count on, or at least you have a good feeling towards. So even if that means, passing on these guys and trying to wait for like a 11th or 12th round pick for them, which like they're most likely not going to last that long. But
you have to have your own evaluation.
Yeah, if they do, you get lucky. It's a no-brainer. You stash them on your bench. But if not, you let some sucker like me take them in the 6th round, and could cost them their season as it did mine.
Michael Thomas could go in the 10th or 11th round this year. I mean, so the news is that he opens up on the PUP, which, I don't think should have been much of a surprise. Like, I think he only really started running routes like a month ago. I don't know. Like, I'm pretty iffy on him myself. Like you said, like, I learned this a while ago, but basically don't find injuries. Injuries will find you. Right. So like, I don't need to go after a guy like Michael Thomas, who has not actually played a season healthy for 2 years.
Your players will get injured for you anyways.
My players constantly get injured. It's probably, again, because I take Will Fuller every year. But yeah, I mean, usually like players always get hurt, especially mine. And if you take Michael Thomas, they'll just probably add to the list. I mean, he looks healthy in like the videos he's posted on like Instagram and whatever, but I feel like, it's different than actually having full contact, and I'm curious to see how he'll play. And as you said, like, I mean, there's more weapons now, I feel like, than there ever were in New Orleans. At Drew Brees' like, when he was throwing to Michael Thomas every single play, it was him and Alvin Kamara. It was like a funnel concentration between those two. And then they had like guys who were meaningless, like Traquan Smith and, different guys that weren't really anything. But now they have Chris Olave they just drafted in the 1st round. They have Jarvis Landry, who's no scrub. They have some options now. And Jameis Winston, we'll see how he plays coming. I feel like everyone forgot that he tore his ACL. Like, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, moving on to the next one. We'll just talk about this next one real quick.
The other day,
the Browns were working out AJ McCarron and Josh Rosen, which is just like not great options. That kind of reminds me of like when you do a season in Madden and your quarterback goes down and you have to go to the free agents to find someone, and you see these two guys there. That's how I feel. But the Browns ended up signing Josh Rosen to a 1-year deal, I think, just to add some depth to their quarterback depth chart, because right now Deshaun Watson, it's not looking great for him in my, just based off of how I feel. And even though all these cases are being dismissed, I just think the league is going to it's not a good look for the league. So I think the league's going to put their foot down and suspend him out at minimum half the season would be my guess. And obviously,
I would think so too.
He's gonna take it to court and appeal that. So who's their backup?
Right now it's Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brisket. And obviously they're not going to get too far with him. So it's just funny if you look at the line changes. I remember when I was at your apartment and we saw the news of the Deshaun Watson deal. I think it was within 24 hours of Devontae Adams being traded to the Raiders. But, we saw Deshaun Watson go to the Browns, and I'm sure in that division, the Browns, their line shifted for them being one of the favorites, and now I'm sure it's just going to be heading backwards after everything that's been going on.
They're either going to be a really good team or they're going to suck.
Yeah,
and there won't be any in between.
And Brissett and Rosen aren't going to help them. So
that's
their season rests upon Deshaun Watson and the millions of dollars he was just given.
That's a whole nother can of worms. So I don't want to get back into that.
And
we'll see what Sue Robinson decides.
Yeah, and this is a little bit of older news, but obviously the Browns officially lost Baker Mayfield going to the Carolina Panthers, which I think was a big win for them. I never thought Sam Darnold was the guy, so those two goofballs will be competing it out for the starting role. But I think Baker and DJ Moore, McCaffrey could provide some spark this year if they're all able to stay healthy and handsome.
It's kind of insane that this is without a doubt the best quarterback DJ Moore has ever played with. That's so sad.
Which is crazy because he's averaged 1,400 receiving yards in the past 4 or 5 seasons.
He's so good. Yeah. I love DJ Moore so much. It's just his touchdown luck is not there, and he's played with terrible quarterbacks, so bad. It's just would you have ever thought that a number 1 pick and a number 3 pick would be battling it out in camp? That's so wild. That was 2018. That was only 4 years ago. That's crazy to me. And they're both, I actually think I've said it before. I think Baker's actually not as bad as everyone thinks. I think he was hurt last year, and he kind of got screwed with a matter of circumstance. And I think if he didn't play, he would be valued so much higher. But he tried to play through injury. So I think the Panthers actually easily won that deal. And they gave themselves a shot. They only have one shot because
one opportunity
to seize everything you ever want. Yeah, Matt Rule is done if they don't play well. So
100%.
We'll see. Their O-line is improved, but still not great. Their defense is probably their best. It's probably their best, but also I feel like this needs to be said. What do you make of Robbie Anderson, everything he said about Baker Mayfield coming to the Panthers and now them being teammates?
You and I, Jay, are two pretty stubborn people. So if I was Baker Mayfield, I'm not throwing the ball to him once. And if I have to kind of sell it, I'm throwing it over his head. Just to prove a point. We're gonna win and we don't need you to win. I never liked Robbie Anderson anyways.
I don't think Robbie Anderson's that good. They have DJ Moore. Maybe Terrace Marshall takes a step up, which is pretty hard not to because he was so garbage last year. Anyway, moving on from other really good receivers, Scary Terry signs his 3-year, $68.36 million extension. He deserves it. He's the entire team. I love Terry so much. It's such a disappointment that he's on that team.
Yeah, I put him and DJ Moore in that same field. They're the 2 stars on their team. They're
pancakes.
They're both so talented. Their teams need them. So that contract for Scary Terry was long overdue. But he's going to be under the hands of one of the best quarterbacks in the league, Carson Wentz. So
for sure,
we're gonna have to see if he can get him the ball or not.
Yeah, we'll see. Terry always will have a place in my heart. I love Terry. I think one of the coolest things is just to prove how shit his quarterbacks have always been. Last year, don't you remember that catch where his body completely contorted?
Yeah.
While he's running full speed down the field, he's so unbelievable. I love Terry. I hope Carson Wentz is good. Honestly, it would be better than anything that they've ever had. So I would be rooting for that, to be honest. And moving on, so back to quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, very interesting scenario, but he is winning himself so much money by waiting. That there's some contract uncertainty. He's at Ravens training camp, so that's good. He's too much of a team player to not be, and I think he's willing to play this year, even though he doesn't have an extension.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have an agent, so he's betting on himself completely.
Oh yeah,
but he's everything he's doing, even though you would have highly criticized it like 2 months ago before Deshaun Watson got paid the most money in NFL history. It's like it's really working out for him. Like the fact that Kyler just got that extension, like he should be asking for maybe even more than that because the Ravens' entire offense is tailored around him running, and he gets beaten up every play. So I mean, Lamar is electric, and I'm really looking forward to him coming back this year healthy.
Yeah, I mean, it showed last year, and this is with most teams, but it showed last year with, the first half of the season, how good they were, tale of 2 seasons. And then once Lamar went down, it all went downhill. So we were talking about this in his MVP season when with how much he was running. We're like, he's going to get hurt at some point.
Right.
Sure enough, he does. Cost him the rest of the season, cost them the Ravens season. And
they still played pretty well, though, with Tyler Huntley.
They did all right. I mean, they were what?
They were like
they're 7-1
2 games out of the playoffs.
Yeah, and then they took some risks on some controversial 2-point conversions, but
they did that so many times.
He's their franchise quarterback, so he's worth the money. Hard to see him in another team's uniform, so big trust.
Whoa. Well, let's keep going with the Ravens because this is part of it too. Is the J.K. Dobbins stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So he and Gus Edwards obviously they both tore their ACLs in like consecutive weeks last year.
Yeah, that was crazy.
We thought Gus Edwards was going to be the starter. I remember Sam drafted him, and then immediately after that, he tore his ACL.
Yeah.
What do we make of Dobbins also opening? Oh, actually, I don't think that's confirmed. If he opened, never mind. He didn't open camp on PUP. But there's conflicting reports. There's conflicting reports of like what Ian Rappaport tweeted, and then J.K. Dobbins tweeted at Ian Rappaport, "Come to me if you want a source." I was like, oh damn, okay. I don't think any players actually broken that like fifth barrier before.
Yeah,
which I love.
As of right now, it seems like he's not like a green light to go for week 1. And for how good he was, when he played a couple of years ago, that was his rookie campaign. So he's definitely a playmaker. He's a difference maker for their team, and he definitely needs to help out Lamar because after losing Hollywood Brown, the Ravens don't have too many options other than Mark Andrews.
They're going to run that ball almost every play.
Very aggressive run first team for sure. So we'll just have to wait and see. How
it was like that a few years ago, if you remember. Actually, when J.K. Dobbins was a rookie, that was their plan. Like every play, they ran the ball almost. And at that point in time, we all were like, Hollywood is trash. Like, he never got the ball, so we didn't know.
Yeah, but we will have to see. But talking about some other players quickly who
let's just
looking for contract extensions coming into the year. Darren Waller will probably get one. He's looking for a contract extension with the Raiders. And then obviously the biggest one is Deebo Samuel. And it kind of seems like, I guess maybe I'm thinking this from recent news I might have heard, but it seems like he's going to be a 49er for at least one more year. But he's obviously not going to report to training camp until he gets a juicy contract extension. What do you think is going to end up happening with that?
I don't think they have a choice. I think they've missed their window to trade him, and I think they have to pay him. I mean, he really was a difference maker for them. People don't really remember this, but because there's so much recency bias. But Deebo Samuel was hurt every year except for last year, which is why no one saw that breakout coming.
Yeah,
he was used in such a unique and dynamic way. We'll have to see. Like I'm interested to see what if anyone can do it, it's the Niners to replicate success. But it's kind of, it's going to depend on like what he wants to. Does he want to be utilized like that again, or does he want to be more of a receiver? He's built like a running back, so it made sense that they used him in that manner. I think they're going to pay him. I think they have to. I don't think they have a choice. Like after Terry got paid, like the only one of that group that we know isn't getting paid of those receivers that, whatever. We're not 100% sure about DK because, they're in a rebuild, but I think they will pay him. And I think the one that won't get paid is Deontay Johnson. The reason I think that is the Steelers have done this time and time again, where they just don't give a shit about their players. Le'Veon Bell is a perfect example. They wanted to run him into the ground. He held out, and they said, okay, goodbye.
Yeah.
And they did the same thing with James Conner. I think that Deontay's gone, but I think Debo is getting paid. I do.
Yeah, it'd be stupid not to give it to him. I think they said he's like they're calling him a full wide receiver now. So they're not putting him in that wide receiver running back.
Like Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, I think they did in fantasy, but
he's just I think good. I don't know. I don't really know how the cap works on this, but I would guess that once Jimmy G is traded, that next domino would be Debo.
And that's another point to bring up, because Jimmy G is expected to be fully cleared by August after his offseason shoulder surgery. So what do you think is going to happen with that? Do you think they definitely ship him off, or do you think they use him as a backup? Because it's not 100% that Trey Lance is going to be the starter, is it?
I think with how much draft capital they gave up to get Trey Lance, I don't think they can go into the season with Jimmy G as a backup, because he's still the leader of that team.
Yeah.
So they have to trade him. I don't know how much they'll get for him. I don't even know where he'll really go. Like, that makes sense. The only place that makes sense is the Seahawks. And I think the Seahawks are tanking so they can get Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or Will Levis or one of those guys next year.
Yeah.
Or Anthony Richardson. So I don't think it really matters to them. So I don't know where he'll go, but I don't think he's going to be a 49er. I don't think he can be. They have to give the keys to Trey Lance, see what they have, and if he's not good, then he's not good. But they gave him in many interviews and stuff like that. All of his teammates, Fred Warner, Kittle, they're all hyping him up. Saying Trey Lance has taken many steps forward and whatever. You see like these videos with him and Ayuk and stuff, and I think he's going to succeed. Honestly, I hope. I have him in Dynasty, so hopefully. But I don't think Garoppolo can be on that team personally.
I agree with that.
Yeah, just because he's the leader, you know what I mean? Like, he has been the last 4 years. So when you're handing the keys to someone else, you can't keep him as a backup. That's my thought process, at least.
Yeah, I agree on that. The Bucs signed Kyle Rudolph to a 1-year deal, gives Tom Brady another target, but he's kind of old, so I don't really know how.
Yeah, Kyle Rudolph is absolute trash on the Giants, so
rightfully so.
Makes sense.
And then, and then the Jets signed Breece Hall, just one of the rookies to be signed to their rookie deal. He got 4 years, and then
there's some rumblings that Breece Hall will be the number 1 pick in our rookie draft.
But yeah, that'll be a good segue into our fantasy pros mock draft, and in honor of the great Matt Berry, who retired. Let's do this for him.
I wonder, should I just put it on the main screen?
Throw it up. It's the greatest day of the year. Draft day.
Draft day. Okay. All right. So can you see this or no?
I can see it.
All right. So it's a 2022 PPR snake draft. This is our roster construction. Is 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, a tight end, 1 flex, 6 bench spots, defense, and a kicker. I can't change this unless I pay for it, so I'm not doing that. Thank you to Fantasy Pros, even though you don't sponsor us. I hope your thing isn't garbage. Shu, let's randomize our draft spot.
All right.
4th. Okay, that's pretty good. Cheater. Let's start this draft. Okay. So I feel like this is actually a pretty typical 1, 2, 3, probably. Jonathan Taylor goes first. I'll also bring up this. So this is probably a good way to show everyone. So Jonathan Taylor goes 1 to not my cup of tea. Ha.
Is there any way you can make it a little bigger?
That's what she said.
Sorry, I can't. Oh. It's a little better.
Better? Can you see it?
Make it a little bigger. Make it bigger for Daddy.
Oh my God.
All right, there we go.
Okay. So Jonathan Taylor goes 1. Cooper Kupp, Coop goes 2.
That's
Christian
crazy.
McCaffrey goes 3.
Cooper Kupp going second is crazy to me.
I think that it's realistic that could happen.
I just don't know if he's with Allen Robinson and just the unreal year that he had, and teams might kind of, plan accordingly based off last year. I just don't know if Cooper Kupp's going to be able to replicate what he did last year.
I don't know if he'll be able to replicate it either, but and again, we talked about this offline a little bit of, is this like a Michael Thomas, year where it's like an insane year and, hey, is it, can you replicate it? I don't know. So with our pick, we're obviously not going to go quarterback. We're not going to go tight end. I would hope that you don't think that we'll go tight end yet.
Oh, we have to pick a team together?
Yeah, we're picking it together.
I hate that.
Well, it's happening. So based off of this, I would probably think if we're looking at running back, we'll go Austin Eckler. We'll go.
I think if you have the 4th pick right here, you gotta. I'm either going Eckler or Derrick Henry.
Oh, I forgot. Oh, okay, yeah, I could see that. So I think this is a good. I think in a full PPR, well, Derrick Henry was so good last year. Let's just go Derrick Henry for now.
Yeah, it's a safe pick.
Safe pick.
I like going with safe guys, and
you don't want to look at it.
Your first pick in the first round has to be someone who you're relying on getting you at least 20 points a game.
Yeah, I think so. That's honestly a fair point. So here's why
Kelce went 5th.
I cannot imagine that Kelce would go 5, but I could be wrong. Here's the interesting thing, right? This is why I think there's such an advantage. It may be a little bit different this year, but generally you have such an advantage of having a top pick, especially in like in a 10-person league as opposed to a 12. That little bit makes such a difference because having this turn, some people do what's called a 3rd round reversal. I don't know if you ever heard of that before. 3rd round reversal basically means so 1st round, 2nd round happen normally, but you don't have a 301 for the first team. It would go back this way. So it would go 301, 302, 303 this way.
Yeah.
So to try to make it like more fair, because I think there's such an advantage to having that first pick, also having the 3rd and the 5th on the first turn. So this is what's happened here. So Jonathan Taylor, Cooper Kupp, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry. Since then, we had Travis Kelce, which I think is a little early for me. Austin Eckler, Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones, Dalvin Cook, Najee, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Swift, Adams, Mixon, Diggs. So I think that there's 2 things that need to be said, right? First, CeeDee Lamb is a really hard one for me to rank in my head, and so is Devontae Adams. Because
I think Jamar Chase is as well.
Yeah, Jamar Chase too, because Jamar Chase, while unbelievable, and I think in ours he'll be a first-round pick. I think it's so hard to rank him because he had like those explosion games, but he also had some not great games because of T. Higgins.
Yeah, and Tyler Boyd, who's been progressing every year.
So with our pick, we could let's go to the cheat sheet.
So this is interesting because I've always, believed that running backs come at a premium and they're so valuable. So you could go with another running back here and your wide receivers obviously won't be as strong. But like here, it's tough because you could take like Kamara, right? And Derrick Henry and Kamara is a filthy duo. But you can't take Kamara because you don't know if he's going to play this year. So you have to pass on him. And then obviously I know you have your eyes are all over this guy. I could see drool coming from your mouth. Saquon, you want
that obvious.
You want him to have a big bounce back year, but it's just it's another risky pick.
That's a risky pick.
So like I talked about with playing it safe earlier, do you go for someone like Nick Chubb, who you know is going to get a lot of touches? Do you go for Deebo Samuel, who would be a great pick? Do you go for Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think starting off running back is a really strong start because then you can pretty much abandon it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Last year I went running back.
How'd that turn out for you?
Yeah, it didn't turn out great. But part of the reason it didn't turn out great because I think my first
Aaron Jones and Najee.
Yeah, that was a good one too. I'm still happy with that. I think that was those are the right picks, even though I could have gotten Jonathan Taylor. No one knew, right? So I picked those two. And then I picked Chris Carson because I couldn't believe he was in the 4th round. That was where I made a mistake.
I couldn't believe you took him.
Yeah, that one was a mistake. I was really convinced because of the great Matthew Berry that he wouldn't be injury prone, but he is, and he had a devastating neck injury. So that didn't really work out. And then they drafted another running back. So, yeah, I mean, you can go Lindsey Lenny. I think Mark Andrews is too early for me.
Yeah, I was looking at him too because tight ends go quickly.
They do go quick. I don't know about you. I can't see myself taking one in the first 2 rounds. I feel like it's such a premium.
Yeah, I think I'd rather take a running back or wide receiver, and then in the 3rd or 4th round, hope that Kittle or Waller fall.
All right, why don't we do it for my drool? Let's take Saquon. I don't know if I would actually take Saquon, but he does. I really am hoping that he has a good year.
I think if he was there in the 3rd round, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know if I'm taking him in the 2nd round.
Second round might be a little rich, but I do love him. I do love Saquon so much. I'm sure one of our friends will take. I'm sure it'll be Rosen. I'm gonna call that right now. I bet you Rosen takes him in the 2nd round. I'm putting it on camera so I know it's gonna happen. He has such an elite upside. So anyway, after Saquon, Chubb,
Javonte Adams goes kind of crazy.
Javonte, wow, that's really early for Javonte in my opinion. Tyreek, Kamara, which is that's a toughie. Let's say Kamara is suspended 6 games. Do you think this is too early?
Yeah, I think it's way too early. Like I said, you as good as he is, I just don't have enough confidence in the Saints this year. And no matter how good a player is, if he's out for half the season, I think that's, could be detrimental to your fantasy season. So it's just not worth it.
I agree with that. So with this pick, I mean,
so we don't have any wide receivers yet. I was definitely looking at Mark Andrews, but he just got snagged. So what are your, I mean, obviously we're not going to take a 3rd running back here, but what are your thoughts on Zeke?
What are my thoughts on Zeke? I actually like Zeke more than other people. I think people are underrating him because he was hurt last year, and people love Tony Pollard, but people don't realize Tony Pollard is 1 year younger than Zeke.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like significantly younger, and although he's very dynamic and will have a role, Zeke is still getting paid a crap ton of money. He will be the starter. I think. I mean, I don't think I would go running back here either, especially because we have a 3 wide receiver league.
I think you have to go wide receiver here.
Yeah, I think you have to. But I will say Leonard Fournette, interesting that he's still here. I would think he gets picked in the second round.
You think so? I think Leonard Fournette in the second round is crazy to me.
Looking pretty chunky lately.
It's not even the weight. It's just I don't see him being a top 3 pick.
That's fair.
I'm pretty sure last year he was like a 6th, 7th, 8th round pick.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. But yeah, I think we have to go receiver based off of this. To be honest, I think Mike Evans really is in a tier, to be honest.
You have to go. It's like you go Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, or AJ Brown, or you could go Scary Terry. But I think I'd probably go AJ Brown here.
Yeah, you think you go AJ Brown here?
I think so. Not even speaking as an Eagles fan, I just think out of those options, it's like Mike Evans will get you, your 1,000-yard season, but
people don't realize that 1,000-yard seasons are actually not that impressive.
Exactly, and it's not even that, and it's 1,000-yard seasons don't really add up, in my opinion, in fantasy points wise. But you could go Mike Evans here. Obviously, he's going to probably be getting more targets with no more Gronk and Godwin being out for how many games is he going to be out for?
Well, there's reports that he might be back week 1, actually.
Oh. Well,
that would be a little soon, I would think, based on how late the torn ACL was. But
yeah, I think Mike Evans is a good pick here. You can't go wrong with him. But at the same time,
do you have faith in Jalen Hurts? A real question. Like, not trying to like.
I just think AJ Brown's too good not to take, and with the success he had with Ryan Tannehill,
also run heavy team,
it's not hard for the Eagles, who are a run heavy team as well. I just think it's not crazy to think that Jalen Hurts is going to throw him the ball an excessive amount of times.
Okay, let's take AJ Brown. Let me tell you what. Here's why I love AJ Brown. Here's why I hate AJ Brown. I hate all Eagles players.
Well, that's obvious.
I love AJ Brown because I think he's a crazy amazing talent. I still can't believe you guys got him. The concern of Jalen Hurts and like a run heavy offense is super fair, but I don't know if like you probably know this, but like not many people do. When the Eagles came out of the gates last year, they were not a run heavy team. In fact, they weren't a run heavy team until midseason.
I know they didn't. There's so much frustration of them saying run the damn football, and they finally did, and then we finally started getting success.
But you have to wonder with an acquisition that major where they gave him such like guaranteed money. I think you're right. Like I think they will go back to the pass. And they don't have to use run as a crutch, but they have it as always. So let's just see.
So looking at our first 3 picks, Derrick Henry, Saquon, AJ Brown. You look at your 3 guys to produce for you every week. Are you confident in those picks? Because I'm not.
I'm not because honestly because of Saquon. Because if Saquon was I don't know if he would have made it back to us. I actually really don't think he would have. But in this mock draft, I feel really good about Derrick Henry. Saquon, I really like the upside. I think if it's me, I probably would have taken Mike Evans or Keenan Allen. I think there's too much uncertainty around these two, personally.
Yeah. So here with our next pick, Josh Allen was taken. Do you go?
So I actually think, and I wouldn't even be shocked if you're the one to do this. But Josh Allen went 4th, 401. You have historically taken quarterbacks in the third round, if I remember correctly.
You're correct.
I am correct. Usually it's Mahomes, but you'll have to switch it up.
I'm pretty sure I took Mahomes in the second round last year.
But
yeah, do you go Mahomes here? Do you go Justin Herbert here? Do you go another receiver and go for Terry McLaurin or DJ Moore?
Let's look at the receivers. So I definitely don't think we would go tight end. I don't think neither. I'm in my opinion, I don't really think these three are worth it right now. Quarterback, we do have Mahomes available to us. We have Herbert available to us. Running back, we have Cam Akers, ETN, Breece Hall, Antonio Gibson. So these running backs in the middle are all so interesting and so scary at the same time. Cam Akers coming off a torn Achilles, ETN coming off a Jones fracture. Breece Hall is a rookie in a terrible offense with Michael Carter. Antonio
there he is, Booby.
Booby. Antonio Gibson. I feel like they just have set him up to fail, even though I think he's so talented. Josh Jacobs. I just don't love Josh Jacobs. Dobbins off of an injury. Elijah Mitchell. Fun fact, San Francisco has not had a same rushing leader in like 6 straight years.
Yeah.
I think AJ Dillon. I like AJ Dillon, but I don't know.
I think as good of a pick as Herbert and Mahomes would be, you have to just kind of stack your team with especially with how important wide receivers are at this point in the draft. So I think you have to go with Terry McLaurin or DJ Moore here, and then rely on in the 6th or 7th round. They probably won't be there, but relying on the 6th or 7th round, going quarterback and seeing if Lamar falls or if you go Kyler or Joey B.
DJ Moore, I don't think is available. So let's go Terry. I think I would do that too. I really like Terry this year. Jalen Waddle, I like, but I think there's too much uncertainty with him right now. So that stinks. So all of the quarterbacks just came off the board. Right after us, we have Patrick Mahomes, Cam Akers, Jalen Waddle, DK. What are your thoughts on DK this year?
I probably wouldn't touch him, to be
honest. That's pretty scary with Geno Smith.
As good as he is, yeah, the Seahawks are just falling apart. They're not going to be a playoff team.
Jerry Jeudy in the 5th. That seems early. All right, back to us. So we right now have Derrick Henry, Saquon, AJ Brown, and Terry. Who are we going with our 5th pick? Do you go back to the well? There's ETN, Breece Hall, Gibson.
So we got 2 running backs and 2 receivers.
We have 2 receivers right now.
So I'm going either quarterback or running back here.
Okay.
Which also, you look at the options, and I'm not, because I can't see your screen that well, seeing who is picked, but
who was picked?
Yeah, do you go, if you wanted another receiver here, Godwin, Adam Thielen, Amari Cooper, Allen Robinson, or Devonta Smith, who are all great, would be all great 3rd string wide receivers. You'd have those wide receivers would be stacked with I think Scary Terry, and who was the first wide receiver we took?
AJ
Brown, Scary Terry, and maybe Allen Robinson. But I think here, go running back or quarterback.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, I guess the question is, and this is something you'll have to ask yourselves in your drafts. You play the ADP game, which basically means everyone has a different ADP, average draft position. In ESPN, there's a different one than Yahoo, then a different one than Fantasy Pros, which we're using currently. There are going to be players that are way further down the draft board than you're anticipating, and people will not see them. So, as an example, not that he was a good pick last year, but Brandon Ayuk was very far down the draft board last year. when in other ones he was really high up. So he was a 4th round pick some places, 7th round pick others. And you have to know your league mates' tendencies. This is something I went over in the dynasty advice stuff. Do your league mates take one of these elite quarterbacks? I think if it's me,
let's go to show the pick so far.
So 1, 2, 3 people have quarterbacks. So I think we can wait on quarterback. I usually like to wait on quarterback.
Lamar Jackson most likely won't be there.
Lamar Jackson will probably be gone for sure.
So do you have enough faith in Kyler or Jalen Hurts or Joey B to be a good? Because Joey B played really well last year for fantasy wise.
He did.
And Jalen Hurts did.
That was another one that I dropped. Good job, Jason. I probably would. I think I would. I probably have more faith in a running back right now, to be honest.
Who are the running backs left on the board?
So, Etienne, Breece Hall, Antonio Gibson, Josh Jacobs, J.K. Dobbins.
I'm really not a fan of any of these running backs, but I think you have to take a chance on one of those top 3 guys.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I agree.
I don't like anybody who plays for Jacksonville, so I'm either taking Gibson here or taking a risk and seeing if Breece Hall does anything in his rookie year.
Let's go Breece Hall.
Breece Hall is the number 1 running back out of rookie running backs this year.
Yeah, and it's not even close. I really like Breece Hall, but I'm not sure how he'll do. And the Jets is a wasteland. Although, look at that, and Lamar is still available. So
yeah.
Right after him,
the top 5.
Oh, that was a good pick.
The top 5 rookie players that are going to go, I think, will be Breece Hall at 1, Drake London at 2, Garrett Wilson at 3, Treylon Burks at 4, and then maybe like Kenneth Walker at 5.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my prediction. So I think Breece Hall would be a good pick.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good pick.
Sure enough, Travis was taken next. Yep, both those tight ends are gone. So now we have some issues at the tight end position because the only option really left is Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, I wouldn't take him probably now.
Hopkins in the 6th round is interesting.
That's ambitious. Honestly, AJ Dillon in the 6th round is really ambitious.
Oh yeah.
I don't know about that one.
Because that's somebody who needs to be in your starting lineup every week, your first 6 picks. And I'm not putting AJ Dillon in my starting lineup.
Yeah, I don't want AJ Dillon.
It's a great stash pick if Aaron Jones gets hurt.
Absolutely. But you don't want him starting every game. I don't he has no upside. His upside's capped. I think we either go receiver or we go Lamar here.
Who are the receivers available?
Top receivers: Amari Cooper, Darnell Mooney, Amon-Ra, Juju. I hate that. I hate Juju. Michael Thomas. We just talked about him. Chris Godwin, Elijah Moore, Thielen, Gabe Davis, Devontae Smith. We're not doubling up on Eagles. No way. Jose.
I think I'm either going Thielen, Godwin, or Lamar here.
I think. Well, I'll let you do this one because I did the last one.
I say just take Lamar. I think it's a safe pick.
Yeah.
Look, if you want to look at the other quarterbacks, Joey B and Jalen Hurts, you could wait for them. They're not a bad pick. I am completely passing on Aaron Rodgers this year.
I am too. I wouldn't take the chance.
If you really want to wait, I think something that teams do, which is kind of not a bad strategy, is waiting till later rounds and in back-to-back rounds taking, if they're available, Jalen Hurts and Tom Brady, because then you have 2 quarterbacks who could have a lot of upside and you can rotate in week in and week out depending on their matchups.
I guess we probably could have waited one more round for quarterback in this mock draft, but I feel pretty good about it. So
yeah,
Amari Cooper, Amon-Ra, Chris Godwin, Burrow, Mooney, and Jacobs go right after us. Right now, our team.
I say go Thielen here, or go some wide receiver.
Yeah, I think I'd go Thielen. I like Thielen a lot, actually.
I like him a lot.
I'll like him. Thielen, I think, is very undervalued. I get why. I get because Justin Jefferson.
You like every week, at least based off last season, he got you like 3 catches for 10 yards and a touchdown.
Right, but like you'll take that.
It's
still pretty good. So, this
Trey Lance. How about that?
Yeah, Trey Lance. Wow. Elijah Moore, Drake London. Drake London's a toughie because Marcus Mariota probably caps his ceiling for redraft. Michael Thomas at the 7th. Dalton Schultz, who still has not. I don't think
Jalen Hurts not been picked yet.
Jalen Hurts just got picked.
Okay, I was gonna say that's surprising they took Dak over him.
That is surprising.
Juju.
Juju.
I think Juju honestly is gonna have a good year.
Because
of Patrick Mahomes. I feel
like Juju is dead to me based on what happened in that playoff game. He's dead to me.
That was awesome.
Barely get to the win.
I'll take it.
Dak Prescott, Kyler, JK. I think JK will go before the 8th round.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think someone will take a chance on that upside.
Take a chance. Who are the
on me?
Who are the tight ends available? Because I think you have to take a tight end at this point.
You think so? Yeah, so right now our team is AJ Brown, or let's just go down. It's Lamar, it's Saquon, it's Derrick Henry, it's Terry, AJ Brown, and Thielen. Which I mean,
Breece Hall in the flex. That's a pretty good lineup so far.
We didn't take. Oh, we did take Breece Hall. Oh yeah, that's okay. So I actually think that's a pretty good team so far.
Yeah, you just need a tight end.
So we got Hawkins, we got Goddard, and we have Ertz.
So Hawkinson was good last year. He just got hurt, right?
Hawkinson was good last year. He got hurt. Yeah, exactly. The only thing with Hawkinson, and this is my only gripe with him. He's really good, but I'm wondering how that target tree will go now that there's Jameson Williams won't start the year, but when he comes back mid-year, he'll be there. DJ Chark will be there. Amon-Ra took a step forward while they were all out.
I think it's a tough pick, but he probably won't be there next round. And I know you don't like Eagles, but I think you have to pick Dallas Goedert here.
You think you take Goddard over him?
I'd take Goddard over Hawkinson, but Hawkinson's a good pick too. I just think it's too unreliable. Like I don't trust the Lions this year, even though Dan Campbell came out and said that they're going to be he said they're going to be the lucky strike of this year. So
I love Dan Campbell with a passion. Not that I love the team, but him like saying like basically like let's eat nails. Like yes,
without any milk.
Step right this way. Okay, after Goddard, we have Treylon. Interesting. Treylon is a very polarizing player with this whole asthma and being out of shape thing.
So I think you have to pick the next best flex player just to add
Lockett,
some depth.
Smith, Elijah Mitchell, Christian Kirk, Garrett Wilson. So, yeah, I think you just, now we don't need quarterback. We don't need tight end.
An interesting pick here.
Booby, Clyde, Kareem, my pants. Chase Edmonds is interesting. Damian Harris is always a reliable RB2.
I don't like him, but do you like Cordero here?
I don't like Cordero. I think it's too unreliable. He was so good last year. Like truthfully, was so good. I don't trust him. I can't trust him.
Clyde's not a terrible pick. Kareem Hunt's not a terrible pick.
Who do we have on receivers? Ayuk, Gage, Robert Woods, Tony. I do love me some Kadarius Tony, Rat Master.
Why not take Robert Woods? He's hurt, but like a lot of upside.
So would you take Robert Woods over Miles? I don't think we should put that much stock into the Eagles. Right now we have AJ Brown and Goddard. I don't think I'd take Booby.
No, I'm not touching him this year. Absolutely not.
Clyde, you're not touching the Booby this year?
I'm not. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. Clyde, I think is a safe pick, but like I said, I'm all about taking guys who you can be somewhat confident in, and I think the Titans are gonna use Treylon Burks a lot this year with Robert Woods being hurt and losing AJ Brown.
He just got picked though.
Did he? Okay, because I was gonna say he'd be a good pick. I'm probably going Clyde here or Kareem Hunt. Like I love Robert Woods, but just like in a new team with being hurt,
yeah,
I just don't know how much confidence I have in him.
Let's take Kareem Hunt at 69 because I just feel like that just is speaking to me. I don't know why.
Devin Singletary is grossing me out.
Devin Singletary is so gross. All right, so we have Clyde, Ayuk, Damien Harris, Cordarrelle, Tony Pollard. A bunch of guys go. We're still looking in probably the wide receiver, running back range. Top guys. How do you feel about Rashad Penny this year?
I think he had a lot of spark last year. I think he's a good bench guy to have because he's going to be their RB1. I just don't think the Seahawks are going to be good this year, so I don't like taking players on bad teams. But he played well last year to end the year, so
why not? Amazing to end the year, but
yeah, then why not take a chance on him?
Take a chance on me. I think after this running back pick, we could probably go back to receiver because we only have 3, I think, still.
What are your thoughts on Melvin?
On Melvin? Mm-hmm. I don't mind Melvin. I think he's fine. Like I'd probably take him as one of the last guys. I don't know where we're at now. Let me look at the draft board.
You have no heart.
You don't know about me. 11th pick, I would not take him. I'd probably take him like the 13th. I'd feel comfortable. Like Melvin has tons of upside if Javonte were to ever get hurt, but like I don't like taking. I used to do this, but I don't like taking running back handcuffs anymore. Yeah, I feel like it's just a losing recipe.
Okay.
So I think we need to go back to receiver based on what we've drafted so far.
Yeah,
we're really good. We're really good at running back. We have 5 running backs, 3 receivers.
I'd say go wide receiver here, or not a bad option just to have as a backup in case Goddard doesn't play well is to take Freiermuth.
You don't like Zachy? Your old friend Zachy?
I love Zach Ertz, big Zach Ertz fan. I just don't think he has it anymore. Or like,
who would you take out of this receiver group? Because I'll tell you quickly. Kadarius Toney is another humongous upside, but he's always hurt, injury kind of guy. Jacoby Myers is pretty much as safe as a PPR option as you can get, but he's not exciting. He's there's nothing. He doesn't make you excited. Like he has no upside.
Yeah.
I think great offense.
I think the no-brainer here would be Kenny Golladay, but after what he did to me last year, I'm not touching him with a 10-foot pole.
That's fair.
So I think Tyler Boyd or Golladay are reasonable picks here.
All right, let's do it for my Giants fandom. On Golladay.
I hated that. Such a waste.
He is such a waste of space. Hopefully he's good this year. Okay, so right now, we have 4 receivers. I think we still probably go back to receiver. Unless you want to go a backup tight end, which I'm okay with too. I like.
Or Jarvis. What about Jarvis?
Yeah, Jarvis could be good. If Michael Thomas is still hurt.
Yeah, I like Jarvis here as a bench player.
Okay, let's take Jarvis. He's always so consistent, honestly.
Mr. Consistency.
All right. Right now, we're just kind of zooming through because we'll just finish.
Yeah.
I love finishing. All right, so we have 2 more picks, or we can do a defense and kicker. Or we could just do 2 more. Very quickly looking at it.
How many picks do we have left?
We have 2 more picks before we need a defense and kicker. We could take a defense and kicker.
Okay, I say go Freiermuth here.
Okay. Frymouth's got a lot of upside. I like Frymouth. He's a steal. Thank you, Fantasy Pros. Okay. I think we probably take one more receiver or Darrell Henderson. I like Darrell Henderson. It's a good RB.
Corey Davis.
Yeah, I think Jameson Williams has a ton of upside if he actually comes back healthy.
I think Sky Moore could be a decent pick.
Oh, I actually agree with that. I didn't see him there. Yeah, I like Sky Moore,
especially with Herbie fully loaded. He could get a lot of opportunities.
He's with Mahomes.
Damn it, that's what I meant.
You dummy head. Okay, so now we need a defense and a kicker.
Who am I thinking of that got drafted? Who's the wide receiver that got drafted by the Chargers? It wasn't Olave.
There wasn't one.
There wasn't one?
No.
I'm just going to go jump in the hole then.
Okay.
I think you got to go Tyler Bass here.
A little Bass. I like your Bass.
A little sea bass.
A sea bass action. I don't really – defense kicker really doesn't matter. Let's just take the top available. Okay. So –
the Bills got Von Miller, right?
75 out of 100. That's like my normal test scores in college. All right. I mean, I really pay no attention to that. But Lamar, Derrick Henry, Saquon, A.J. Brown, McLaurin, Thielen, Goddard, Brees, Kareeming my pants, Rashad Penny, Kenny Golladay, Jarvis, Freiermuth, Sky.
So when I look at this team, I think it's a good-looking team, but I don't think it's enough to get you a chip.
I don't think it's enough either.
What do you think we could have done differently? I think it's this. Unless he has an unreal season,
I think Saquon was not the pick there.
Saquon pick should have been different.
Yeah, I think Saquon wasn't the pick there.
Go back up to the draft board to see who else we could have taken.
I would have felt more comfortable looking back at this.
I would have
taking
probably,
a receiver.
Maybe. Yeah, I would have probably gone Debo or Tyreek Hill. That would have been my.
Yeah, say we went Debo or Tyreek Hill, and then we went instead of AJ Brown, or we could have gone AJ Brown, but we could have gone Zeke, Fournette. I think I would have felt better about that start.
Yeah, to have Derrick Henry and then
well, let's think about it this way. Think about
Tyreek
it this way.
Hill.
Tyreek Hill. Let's just say Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill and Zeke or Fournette. Let's just say, I don't know.
Let's put it this way. Who would you rather have? Derrick Henry, Saquon, and AJ Brown, or Derrick Henry, Tyreek Hill, and Zeke?
That. I think that.
The latter?
Yeah. Because I think there's still tons
Zeke
of
had a horrible year last year. I remember when Henry took him first in the first round.
Yep,
and now he's dropping. Now he's dropping to the third round. Like, he had a bad year last year, but he's still their RB1, and I feel like he needs a bounce back year. And they're going to be running the ball now more than ever since they lost Amari.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Dak is trash.
Dak is trash. I think I would have. That's the main one I would have changed. If it was up to me, I think I would have waited probably on tight end. Like, even if you look here, like Goddard went 8. I don't think this would actually, like in our league, our home league, there are always runs. And what that means is that once one is taken, many are taken. So like, for example, once Dak was taken, Kyler, and then Jalen,
so
Trey.
Do you think in the third round?
Yeah.
Aside from Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews being taken.
Yep.
After the third round, you're absolutely passing on Darren Waller and George Kittle.
No, depending on where they go. I think 5th round is a good spot for them. I wouldn't probably reach on them in the I don't know. I mean, if I have a turn pick, like if I have like
it's tough because I think after those top 5 tight ends,
there's a drop off. There's definitely a drop off. But the thing is, Darren Waller, I don't know like what the deal is with him with now that Davante Adams is there. Like Davante Adams commands a humongous target share. George Kittle, I love George Kittle so much, but like I love him as a pure tight end. Like I love him watching him.
Yeah.
Like he's not a pure receiver. And on top of that, Trey Lance is unproven. So like that makes me nervous.
So based off being realistic here,
yes.
If you're the 10th pick,
yes.
Who are you going with back to back? Because I think it's going obviously something along the lines of Jonathan Taylor, McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp, Derrick Henry.
I don't think Kelce goes there.
Eckler at 5.
Yeah, I think Eckler
Justin
goes 5.
Jefferson at 6. Dalvin at 7.
Jamar Chase probably at 8.
Jamar Chase at 8, and then Aaron Jones at 9. So with back-to-back picks, do you like Najee and maybe like do you like Najee and I don't know, Stephon Diggs, or would you go? I think you have to go like Najee and Davante Adams.
That's a tough question. Well, if I'm looking at the board based on like this, for example, with how the look at like how many receivers go in those middle rounds.
Yeah, in our league,
I think I have to take a receiver.
Yeah, in our league, if I had the 10th pick, and I doubt this would happen, but like, we have some stupid people in our league. If it was the 10th pick and this was a possibility for me, I'm going Dalvin and Najee.
If that was your start, that would be a hell of a start.
Right? That's what I'm going, and I'm more than fine with passing on like Davante Adams and Tyreek Hill, because the reason why I say that's a possibility is because somebody could take Jamar Chase.
I think Jamar Chase might be the first receiver taken in our league because of how hyped up he is.
In Dalvin Cook's place, you swap out Jamar Chase and then you like swap like Travis Kelce and Jamar Chase or something.
It could happen. Yeah. It really could. You're right. And if you had a start like that, that's insane. Like Dalvin and Najee start would be huge. Two workhorse running backs. Once you brought up actually Dalvin Cook, honestly, like I started really thinking about it, and I think he's going to be so good this year.
He's so good. It's just his injury status. Like if he can stay healthy.
I know, but everyone gets injured. Like
you get injured.
You don't tell me that. Yes. Like four out of the top 5 this year were hurt. So or this past year. So like I don't know. Injuries can happen at any time. I told you, if I have the first pick, I will really heavily consider taking McCaffrey. There's a game of chance, and I will take a chance on him.
It is, because even if you think about the Colts, for example, like they really don't have too many options, and they're going to be giving JT the ball, 20 to 30 carries a game.
They'll be really improved, I think, with Matt Ryan. I guess it depends on how you view it, right? Like, because also Michael Pittman now is going in the 4th round. Like, I feel like that might be a little steep.
So before we wrap this epi up, Jay,
yes, sir.
I want to circle back to my original question I asked you.
I'll stop sharing my screen.
Do you think there is certain picks that are more valuable having in the 1st round over others?
So based on this mock draft, this year I think is the year that it doesn't matter as much. With that being said, I always think there is an inherent advantage to having a first pick, having a top 3 pick even, because when you can circle back on that 3rd round where there's still so much value before there's a drop off, and there's still really good players, and some get pushed up, right? So like sometimes quarterbacks will get taken in the 2nd round, like you took Mahomes. So other guys are pushed down, or I don't know. Like I'm sure someone is crazy enough to take Kyle Pitts in the 2nd round, right? So it's like polarizing players like that. So and then it pushes other players down, and when that happens, it's usually the people at the front of the line who get the value. So like, if someone's pushed out of the 2nd round just by chance, the person who has the 301 is usually the guy to get it, which is Ryan last year. Although it didn't work out, I mean, think of how stacked his team was, right? Like it doesn't work out every year. Like, for example, the year that I had Clyde, and I took Clyde first, we were talking about it yesterday. That was actually the year that I had one of like the best record in our league, surprisingly enough. So it doesn't matter if you like. I think that year I was like the 9th pick, and I was 11-4 or something like that. Like I had an amazing record, and I didn't go anywhere. I ended up trading Clyde, I remember, for Tyler Boyd, like because I needed a receiver. But my point is, you can definitely lose your draft in the first couple rounds, but just because your first pick gets hurt doesn't mean you lose. So like, I rather take the chance. And if I have the first couple picks, like I'll tell you right now, if I have the first pick, I will heavily consider Christian McCaffrey. I don't know if I would do it because I think Jonathan Taylor is too safe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Also, with how he bent me over last year from you. Oh, and I liked it. I don't know if I can pass on him, but if I have the second pick, I'll tell you right now, if I have a second pick, Christian McCaffrey will be my pick if he's available.
Yeah, the thing that's we're gonna have to wrap up this episode because there's some construction on the other side of my wall, which is really annoying. But I think the first pick is just like such a great pick to have because you take Jonathan Taylor, and then when it comes back to you, you could take, but depending who's there, like you could take you have back to back, so you could take Saquon or Zeke if they're there, and then you take a top receiver depending on who falls. Like I doubt Tyreek Hill would make it that far, but
he could. But he could.
You could take Tyreek Hill, and like those first 3 picks to start off your fantasy season is pretty fire.
But yeah, I think we should wrap this puppy up and put a bow on it.
Put a tie on it.
Put a tie on it. I think this is a good episode. I mean, honestly, like this is just a good way of like looking at where value lies and when it drops. Players will drop all the time. People will reach on them. It's kind of what I said in the Dynasty video. You just need to know what your league mates' tendencies are. Like, it was pretty obvious you were going to take Mahomes in the first 3 rounds, like of the past 3 years. I didn't think you would take him in the second last year, but you wanted him, you got him, right? And like that'll happen again this year. Not necessarily.
I remember I did take him in the 3rd round again because I took. I took Devontae Adams.
Oh, and then
I took Jonathan Taylor. Yeah.
Okay, so like that was like a pretty much a gimme for like every year, right? But like I think my point is like know your league mates' tendencies. Like I didn't think that last year. I wasn't smart enough to realize that every single quarterback would be taken, including backups. Like that didn't occur to me. So I kept waiting, and then I was left with no one. And I prefer to take quarterback late. But
yeah, and I think another thing to consider is you can't rely on the fact that a player is going to fall because someone like you look at these 2 guys, for example, who you said are kind of in the same ballpark with Hopkins and Michael Thomas.
Right.
Knowing the guys in our league, they see that name pop up and they're like, oh, like that's a juicy name. There's no way either of those guys make it past the 7th round, in my opinion, this year.
You don't think so? I think they will.
I don't think either of them will.
Hopkins is so polarizing because he's not even hurt. But I can't reach on him. Also, with Hollywood now, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's tough. That's a tough one. And Hollywood too. Like he'll explode in the first 6 games. Well, you think, but then after those first 6 games, then what? Right? Like Hopkins comes back, and then what was a very concentrated funnel of targets is no longer. So it's just something you got to consider. I genuinely like to go for the upside, but that's not everyone's cup of tea. And honestly, it hasn't worked out for me. So maybe I'm not the best person to go by. I averaged 4th place. So
I probably averaged 1st based off of the fact that I've won the league 3 out of the 6 years.
I think you averaged but you were also in last place. I think you also averaged 4th.
Fuck.
And then Russo averaged like 8th.
I mean, he's been horrible. He's finally been like stepping it up, and he should have won the league last year with Derrick Henry and Cooper Kupp, he just got screwed.
Well, Andy stopped paying attention.
That too.
I said this to my girlfriend yesterday when I was just talking to her about fantasy football, not that she cares. And I was talking about how if Brick and Russo paid attention, they would have easily had two of the best teams in the league, but neither of them paid attention, and then people would get hurt or be on bye and they wouldn't switch them out, so they would lose those games. But they had such good teams when they drafted. So, fantasy is also as much as the draft as it is about, making trades. And I mean, our league doesn't love making trades because everyone tries to win them and they don't try to do equal value, which is fine, but that's just how it goes. Just pay attention to the waiver wire and stuff like that. I've been able to pick up gems every year. Not that it helped, but I pick up James Robinson, Elijah Mitchell. There are usually some gems that just pop up. So always pay attention for those two.
Sounds good, Jay. Another great episode. Glad we got to do this, and we'll see you next time on JumpStart Sports Show. Please make sure to subscribe and
like and comment.
You hear that?
Oh yeah,
it's so annoying, and the walls are super thick, so I can't bang on it to be like, shut up.
Let me bang on it. And we're out. JumpStart Sports.